Heather, good morning.
Jason, good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I am doing okay. It is
Yeah?
Saturday. It's been a while. It's summertime. It's hot here.
It's hot. It is currently not hot here. It's 73 degrees, which is just cold here. And we're going to have rain at some point, and it's almost chicken noodle soup weather. And that's my favorite weather.
Wow. It's probably like 73 degrees here now.
But that's hot.
At 9:48 in the morning. And that's pretty warm. I think it's supposed to get to like
Seattle.
84 today.
Gross. Barf.
But it's very humid. And I am sitting in my office and my window is closed. And I think the humidity is also just from my own biome.
I mean, that's a possibility.
Yeah.
It's absolutely possible. Yeah.
I exercised and I showered and then I came in here. Right. And so I think I'm carrying around the aura of the shower still with me because I'm not one of those future bros who takes cold showers.
No, that just seems unnecessary. Who are you trying to impress?
Well, nobody, because
nobody. You aren't. Oh, okay.
they're so far in the future. They're living alone.
That's right. They're so 3008.
Last night,
late.
We're here to talk about Fellowship of the Ring, but last night we went to Mexican food, and Kathy and I split fajitas.
Yeah, because you like attention.
Yeah, actually, this place doesn't bring out the thing on the sizzling skillet.
What?
So, yeah, which is fine because there's already enough hot plates happening. It's like I don't need another potential damage. But I take the lid off because you take the lid off of the tortilla thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the tortillas are hot, so I use the lid. I put the tortilla on the lid, and I build my little taco thing on the lid.
Jason.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Galaxy brain.
Not just a hat rack. Oh my gosh.
Isn't that like, because it's the perfect size, because that you already know the tortilla fits in there.
The tortilla will fit.
So
wow. Okay.
And then by you take it off and you're building your fixins onto the tortilla and it's cooling down enough so then you can pick it up and eat it without burning your hands. So I don't know where you apply for the Nobel Prize in food science, but listener, if you know, please, I don't know if I can nominate myself or if I need somebody else to nominate
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have a different last name, so that won't seem suspicious.
It won't. They'll look it up though, and they'll be like, "Oh."
I mean, how many Heather Olsons are there?
A lot.
Yeah.
There was. I told you there was I think I told you at my old company there was another Heather Olson, and she started just a little bit before me. She won an iPad, and I was like, "Wow, I won an iPad," because I got that email, and it was like my third week there. I was like, "That's amazing, so cool!" And no, it was the other Heather Olson that had actually
Heather Olson, the former.
Well, we had to at one point we had to get different email addresses, and I went from Heather.Olson to Heather.Olson 2. Mm-hmm. She didn't have to get Heather.Olson 1. I was like, what is this? This is nonsense.
You should have gone to Heather.Olson 2, The Reckoning. That would have been.
Would have been amazing. People would have been
like, your business card is like 2 pages.
Yeah.
This is a long email. Well, we're telling a story.
Telling a story, y'all. This is the way it goes.
Every company is a story.
That's right. That's right. You have to be able to tell your company's story, the elevator pitch and all that. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, at what's its butt that I used to work at, Safeco. Mom used to work there. We worked there at the same time. And our email address was first 3 letters of your first and last name. So
Jastu.
J-Stew is how I pronounced
Jace.
it.
Well, Jace, whatever.
But
Okay.
we also went around talking to everybody else by their name, like their email name. So like
But
Melissa
wasn't hers
Sanders was
Shadoom
Melsan. Yeah. So hers was 2-4
and 4?
because there was another like combination of SHADEU.
And also, it would have been Shade You.
Shade you. That's where I graduated from.
Yeah.
I majored in side eye.
Perfect.
So
Anyway,
I went to go see Deadpool and Wolverine with Ken. And
Ken's our brother, in case anybody is just picking this up for the first time.
Yeah, we have a brother. He's older than me and Heather.
Yeah.
I'm the middle child.
If you couldn't tell.
What was I telling the story about Ken?
Deadpool and Wolverine. We had talked about Shade You.
Oh, we were talking about our trip to the Bahamas. Remember?
Oh my gosh! Yes,
the Bahamas.
Yeah,
you were there.
I was. Yeah, Dad got propositioned.
Yeah. We were all there with him when that happened. It was a weird night. We went to go swim with the dolphins. Do you remember this?
Yep.
And the guide was telling us about his expertise in dolphin lore. And he said, I don't know if you remember this, but he said, I got my BS at FU.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. And, we were kids. I was,
you would have been in 10th grade because I was in 8th grade.
Yeah. And so I didn't really think about it. But years later, I was like, oh, a Bachelor of Science from Florida University would be a BS at FU. And I laughed so hard.
Yeah.
So hard. Anyway.
That was also when we heard somebody ask what time it is. And the guy respond, I ain't got no watch.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hey, cousin, what time it is? I ain't got no watch.
Yeah. That was a fun trip.
That was a trip that created a lot of heartbreak.
Why?
It didn't go the way...
It didn't go the way that it was supposed to.
Yeah. So there's a lot of frustration with the trip planners named Mom. She was
frustration from her.
She was disappointed with how things turned out.
Yeah.
But, we had fun.
We had a good time. Who cares if there were bars on our condo window? I don't.
Who cares if we got picked up from the airport in a limo that looked like it had just been through a war zone?
Yeah. I don't.
I mean, these are the stories you tell for generations.
Exactly.
If you make it home. And we did.
We did. These were simpler times.
Yeah.
None of us had passports at that point. We didn't need passports.
No. So, why would you need a passport to go to a different country? We were Americans.
Yeah. We do what we want.
Yeah.
No.
I used to work at Round Table Pizza at the time. And I told my boss that I was going on a family vacation. These are the days to remember.
Right.
And I came back and
you didn't have a job?
My name wasn't on the schedule anymore. So I just stopped going.
Okay, I don't remember that. Is that really why you no longer worked at Round Table?
Well, I might still work there. I don't know. But
you might be on the schedule.
It turned into a Curves and now it's a Subway. So I don't really know if I work, or I think there's an Indian restaurant in there now. So I might work at an Indian restaurant. I'm not sure.
Probably.
I should just show up and just do a shift.
I think that would be real smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what started your time at Long's Drugs?
Well, at the time it was Drug Emporium. That's where it started. Okay. Their commercial was famous for like going through how much you can save at Drug Emporium, and then they ended with great shade by saying, "I bet Safeway's still glad they still sell meat."
What?
Because are
you for real?
Yeah, you could get everything else, like all your household needs at Drug Emporium.
Drug Emporium.
But you couldn't get meat there, and so their end of the ad was like, "I bet Safeway's still glad they still sell meat." And that was it.
Oh my gosh!
I got to work there.
The draw was strong.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then they sold it to Long's Drugs, which is a drugstore chain from California and 2 in Hawaii, and those are still around. But all the other Long's drugs are long gone.
Yeah.
But the training program for customer service at Long's Drugs, the catchphrase was "Give them the pickle."
What?
Because it was like it was green, and Long's Drugs colors were green, right? Pickles are green, but the whole thing was like, you go to a bank and the pen is on this chain. Just give them the pen. You go to a fast food restaurant and like, it's extra for pickles. Just give them the pickle. And and even as a high school student, I knew this was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Give them the pickle. We got clicky pens with all those sayings, and like you'd click through and it would rotate through to different sayings, because that's, high tech stuff in the late 90s. And on the catchphrase, give them the pickle. We all had little pickle pins on our green vests. I had to wear a tie. And I had to wear a tie and a colored shirt. And my rebellion was I just never ironed my shirt.
Yeah.
And
I like it.
My collar was all like,
it was janky.
It was all jacked up in the back, because I kept the little buttons on the thing like while I washed it. So it would like bunch up.
Yeah.
I was rebellious.
Man.
Super rebellious. Anyway. Long's Drugs. It was.
I remember.
Give them the pickle.
Yeah. I remember getting colored mascara there, like blue and purple and like white and all the fun, sweet Georgia Brown makeup that was there. That was my favorite.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was not a good place to work.
Yeah.
I had a boss who I don't think he ever knew my name, and I had a name tag.
Oh, Lee. Just like you there.
He just called me Tiger all the time. Hey, Tiger.
No, gross.
Hey, Tiger.
Like, that's just not okay.
I don't go out back and then smoke a cigarette. Like, hey, Tiger, can you stock aisle 9? Like, I can if you won't be there.
Preferably.
Yeah. So it was good times. Yeah. Anyway, we're here to talk about Fellowship of the Ring, right?
We are. Yeah. And I know it's been a minute. And I was just recently in Seattle and had several people ask, like, why did we stop recording? So,
do you want to tell them why you stopped?
Oh, it was me. What? Life got in the way. There was too much going on, and it was getting increasingly difficult to find time to record. And then I got super sick. And then I was in Seattle for a few weeks, and now here we are. That's really all it is.
Yeah, it was a busy time. And so now it is, this week is less busy. We'll see how next week is. So
the kids go back to school. So that's exciting.
Yeah, that's right. You're in a different world than I am. Our kids don't go back till after Labor Day.
Yeah.
I only have one kid to go back.
Oh my gosh. I can't. That's nuts.
Yeah, I'm old. I'm an old.
Ugh, gross. So. I'm only 2 years younger than you.
Yeah, but
I'm also old.
Yeah. I mean, it just happens to all of us. So, Heather, what are we talking about today? What chapters are we looking at?
We are talking about chapters 9 and 10. At the sign of the Snuggly Duckling and Strider. So
right.
Let's jump in. Would you like me to go through both chapters at once with my with my summaries, or break it up?
Yeah, why don't you do let's do one at a time.
Okay. We will do that. All right. So chapter 9, at the sign of the Prancing Pony is what it's actually called, but we literally just watched Tangled this morning, so it's the Snuggly Duckling. All right, so the hobbits arrived in Bree, and we get a description of the men of Bree, that they were brunettes, they were short kings and broad-shouldered. And what?
All right.
They were short kings. And they were nicer to the hobbits, dwarves, elves than normal when it comes to other big people. They are believed to be the descendants of the original first men who wandered Middle world.
Earth.
Earth.
Middle Earth.
Thank you. Yeah. We also learn of the Rangers, who were mysterious, tall, dark, and I'm assuming devastatingly handsome.
Most likely.
Yeah. Yeah. So they brought news from afar. They were eagerly listened to, but they didn't make friends with the men of Bree. They just kind of like dropped in and then disappeared. There were also hobbits that lived there, and they lived along the big folk or alongside the big folk, but they minded their own business. And these hobs that were in Bree were referred to as the outsiders. What, you don't like hobs?
Just call them hobs. I hate that so much.
Okay, these hobbits.
There you go.
Anyway, they were considered by those in the Shire, they were considered to be dull and uncouth. But in reality, they were decent and prosperous. So, giving you a little bit of a background insight into those folks. So, when the hobbits got to Bree, the city gates were shut, and they had to talk to the gatekeeper, who was asking questions as he was, curious, but also trying to be safe as it was after nightfall. And still, the hobbits felt uneasy and were basically like, "Let us in." And while they were being let into the town or city, a dark figure climbed in over the gate and stuck to the shadows. Dun, dun, dun. We know who this dark figure is. It's not a bad thing. Anyway, they got to the inn. Sam felt a little scared, but then he heard singing and clapping inside and felt better and was like, "All right, let's go." There was a special room that was made for hobbits back when the inn was created, that the barman, Barleyman Butterbur, showed them. And Nob and Butterbur, Nob is like his sidekick, like right-hand man kind of guy. He fed and bearded them and then invited them into the common room when they were ready. Sam, Frodo, and Pippin decided to go down, but Merry said he would stay back, maybe go for a little walk. Not wanting to divulge why they were actually traveling, Frodo said he was interested in history and geography and was writing a book, and that statement got some interest from the crowd in the common room, but quickly, went away as Frodo was not much of a conversationalist. He was also getting asked about the Shire and where the Underhills, if you remember from the last chapter, he said, "He must call me Underhill. Don't speak the name Baggins." They were getting asked where the Underhills lived, what they did, when Frodo noticed the tall drink of water in the corner, was also listening intently. And he asked Butterbur who that was, and he tells Frodo that it's a ranger called Strider. And Strider was like, "Hey, friend, come on over." And they chatted. He warned Frodo that his friends should maybe be a little tighter-lipped, as Pippin was sharing about Bilbo's farewell party. And so Frodo was like, "I got to create a diversion, a distraction, make him stop." So he stands up on the table to draw attention away from Pippin and starts singing a song that Bilbo had written that is very much in line with the "Hey Diddle Diddle, the cat in the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon," which that is from like the 1600s, because I looked that up this morning because I was like, no way. One more thing that Tolkien like put into no, it wasn't him. No. It was some older guy. Anyway, the crowd loved it. They made him singing it again. And on that second time, he got a little too carried away. And when he got to the cow jumped over the moon part, he jumped and then crashed and then disappeared, thanks to the ring that was in his pocket. He eventually like kind of made his way over to Strider, took the ring off, didn't know how the ring like even got on his finger. And Strider was like, "That's worse than anything that your friends could have said. Like, what were you thinking? What are you doing, you dingus?" Strider asks him for a word in private, and Frodo's antics end up clearing out the common room. Butterbur comes up to them and also asks for a word in private. And that's where chapter 9 ends.
Yeah. All right. So, Heather,
Yeah.
Good job summarizing this chapter. Good
Thank
job
you.
doing the research on Hey Diddle Diddle.
Yeah, no
Uh,
probs.
so there's a couple of things that we're introduced to in this chapter that I think are important.
Okay.
One is the Rangers.
Yeah.
So the Rangers uh, are the Dunedain.
What? What are the Dunedain?
Thanks for asking. The Dunedain are the descendants of the heirs of the kings and the men of Numenor.
Okay.
The
I love
Numenorians.
that these words just like fall off your tongue. Roll off your tongue. That's the right way to say it, not
Sometimes they fall.
fall.
Sometimes they fall.
Yeah. Okay.
The Numenorians are
Hmm.
the original like kings of
Okay.
Middle Earth. And so the men of Bree are like it says like some of the first men to live on Middle Earth, but they are not a part of this half elven lineage of Numenor.
Ooh.
Yeah. So the
Okay.
Numenorians are important. And they are
Okay.
the ones who established the kingdom and the throne in Gondor, which is where they will end up here in these stories eventually. Like that's where the battle with Sauron and his forces really it's down in that region because
Okay.
Mordor and Gondor Bordor each other. Um,
Oh
so
no.
yeah. So Aragorn, as we'll learn more in the next chapter,
Yes.
he's a ranger, right? So we're being
Yes.
told, like Butterbur says, he's a ranger. He comes and goes as he pleases. And this is all very mysterious, but it's
Right.
important to, it's helpful to know that these rangers are not known for like by the common folks. People don't really know who they are.
Sure.
They're just out there doing their thing, but
Just rangering.
just rangering. Yeah. And so Aragorn, in the years that Gandalf was gone and Frodo was waiting,
It
Aragorn,
was years.
yes,
It's been a minute. I have not
yeah,
read
yeah,
this.
it was a long time. And in
Okay.
that time that that Gandalf was gone, Aragorn was tasked by Gandalf to find
To
Gollum.
keep an eye. Oh.
And there's a whole like side quest here that's not in the books, but it's in like the appendices and his note in Tolkien's notes and stuff that Aragorn found
Is it
Gollum.
in the Silmarillion?
No, found
Okay.
Gollum and brought him to Gandalf, and they talked. And like, there's a lot going on here. So Aragorn,
Wow.
in as Tolkien's writing this, like he probably knows all of this stuff that he wants to talk about with Aragorn, but he's limiting himself.
Wow.
So smart. I just love him so
Yeah.
much. But the way they talk about this mysterious figure that goes over the fence, like over the wall, like I love that we don't know who that is.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've been afraid of these dark riders. And so he's giving us like, oh, is that a dark rider that jumps over the fence and or the wall and follows into the town? Trixie.
Yeah.
It's a good misdirect. But then also Frodo dancing on the table and falling in the ring, falling on
Hiding
his
him.
hand somehow, like is
Right.
another indication of the ring's tricksiness,
Ooh.
right? And so the ring escaped Gollum and
Hmm.
found Bilbo, and the
And so now the
ring
ring is trying to.
get discovered,
Oh, okay.
right? And so like because the way you watch the movie, right?
Yes.
And the way the
Yes.
movie has it, like he like falls and the ring is in the air and it falls on his finger,
Yeah.
which is something where like Frodo would know exactly how it happened. Like it fell out of his pocket and he was trying to catch it essentially and it fell on his finger.
Yeah.
But the way the book talks about it is like Frodo fell with his hands in his pockets
As one does.
and a ring got on his finger. Like it is like the ring is acting against him.
Really quick. I remember walking home from school one day from Alexander Graham Bell, and Garrett Graham and you were walking ahead of me, and Garrett tripped over an uneven part of the sidewalk And instead of putting his hands down to stop his fall, he put his hands behind his back and just fell. Do you remember that?
Nope. I have no memory of this place.
Anyway.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's the smart thing to do, though, especially as we get older. I mean, we were in elementary school, but because when you fall on your wrist, you have the possibility of breaking it.
Breaking your wrist.
Yeah. So it's a lot harder to break all of your body when you fall. And that's probably Garrett's
not impossible.
Just
but
you broaden out the impact zone, so it's less of an impact.
Yeah.
Smart. Right? Yeah, Garrett's a genius.
Smart. Yeah.
Wherever
anyway.
It is. Yeah.
He's probably still alive. We just don't know.
Yeah, I'm not in contact with Garrett.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
anyway.
If you're listening, Garrett, let me know.
Hey, man.
Thanks for the download. Hope you're doing all right. You can email us hobbitforming@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And or you can like and subscribe and on YouTube, rate, review, ring that bell, tell your friends.
Continue.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
Thanks, Garrett.
Okay.
All right. Anything else from that chapter that kind of stood out to you?
No.
Okay, great.
That was really it. There was a lot of merrymaking and song and all of that. So that's fun. All right. So chapter 10 then.
Yes.
Strider. He was already back in their parlor when the hobbits came back, but Merry wasn't. He wanted his quick chat with Frodo, said that he had information that it would come at a price, which was to let him go with them on their journey until he felt fit to leave them. Mm-hmm. He basically shared that their loose lips will sink ships, warned them about the Black Riders, that there are nefarious people in Bree who will share information about those 4 hobbits. And Frodo was like, yeah, I know about the Black Riders. Duh.
Adoy.
Yeah, doy. You're not my real mom. And then Strider, Strider doesn't feel that Frodo is taking them seriously enough, and he asks again to go with them. Sam feels a little uneasy. Frodo does as well. And Strider basically is like, y'all won't make it to Rivendell, yeah, without me. Butterbur knocks at that point, and Strider goes and hides in the corner, maybe behind a curtain or something.
The funny thing is he's taller than the room, right? It's a room for hobbits. And so where is
Strider? He's like this?
Yeah, he's folded over. All the furniture is super low. So the windows are round.
Yeah. Maybe, he covered his eyes so nobody could see him.
That's his great trick.
Yeah.
Like in Mystery Men, have you seen Mystery Men?
No. What is that?
It's a great movie. You have to watch it. It's so funny. Well, it's like a superhero comedy movie. But one of the guys is like, I can turn invisible when nobody's looking at me. Okay.
Amazing. Anyway, so Butterbur wants his private chat at that point. He tells them that he has a note from Gandalf. He mentions the Black Riders again and that Ranger too. And Strider is like, "Bada, I'm here." There's a little bit of bickering between the two of them. And then Butterbur wants to know where the Black Riders are coming from. And Strider just goes, "Mordor. That's where they're coming from." Shivers down all their spines and fear washes over Butterbur. He says he'll keep them safe tonight and then get them on their way in the morning. And Frodo opens Gandalf's letter, which is telling him to leave the Shire ASAP, which is already done, because Butterbur was supposed to get that letter to them, but nobody wanted to do it. And so it just didn't happen. That also says to trust Strider as long as it's the real Strider, Aragorn. Strider says part of the verse in Gandalf's letter about, not all that glitters is gold, not all that wander or lost or whatever. mentions that he is Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and says, "By life or death, I can save you." Basically, just really trying to sell that, like, I'm the real guy. I'm here to help. Um, so Frodo now trusts him, and Strider starts telling them ways that they can leave Bree. He also mentions that he last saw Gandalf in May and is now troubled because he hasn't heard from him since. I don't remember what month it is at this point. October, maybe? Or
I think it is the fall.
yeah,
I'm not sure.
that would make sense. Anyway, Pippin yawns and was like, "Hey, y'all, it's bedtime. Otherwise, I'm going to just fall asleep where I sit." But they realized that Mary was still missing. And then suddenly, Mary comes rushing into the room with Nob, saying that he had seen the Black Riders in the village. And he had been affected by what Strider called the Black Breath near Bill Ferny's house. And Bill Ferny is a little butt munch and is not afraid to like share details. He is a gossip and also like just a hater. And so Mary was like on the ground outside Bill Ferny's house when Nob found him and brought him back to the inn. Strider said that the riders wouldn't attack the inn because there's a bunch of light there and they do their work best in the dark. And that they should also just not go to their rooms, though, because the riders would know which ones are theirs since they are made specifically for hobbits. And so they all hang out in the parlor. Nob makes dummies for their bed, a la Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And they had all their luggage brought to the parlor where they slept. And that's it.
Yep.
Did I miss anything?
No. It was great.
That was a pretty good sum.
Yeah, pretty good sum.
Yeah.
You're not saving time. So come on.
Anyway. Yeah.
I love this few chapters in Bree. I feel like it sets up good tension. We're introduced to Strider, Aragorn, heir of Isildur. And like even as we're walking through this, like the suspicion around him, like why should we trust you?
Right.
And Butterbur, like part of the tension and the frustration in this chapter is because Butterbur failed to get the letter to the Shire.
Right.
But part of the reason it failed is because this is a governmentless land. Like when people talk about being a libertarian and how it's good and wonderful, it's like, do you like getting your bills on time? Like, do you like correspondence? You know who makes that happen?
The mail.
The government has established the United States Postal Service. And if we have to depend on people like Barleyman Butterbur to pass along important information, we will all be stabbed to death in the night by the Dark Riders.
Geez, way to really mess the next chapter up.
I figured people know figure people know that we're like halfway through the book and there's two more, that there's going to be more story than
okay,
this
but somebody could die.
They don't. Anyway, and so what I love about like that tension though is because Barleyman forgot, he's just absent-minded and there wasn't anybody going and it just slipped his mind. Because he forgot, he was able to give the information at just the right time. Which is another part of the tension of the story. Like the ring is trying to be discovered, but Barleyman has information to help the people, the hobbits, continue the quest.
Right.
And like there's this providential hand working in the hobbit's life. And getting Frodo where he needs to be and connecting him with the people he needs to connect with. And this is, I think, one of those ways that even though Barleyman is absent-minded and forgetful, like the hand of Providence, Iluvatar, is still working things out for their good.
Oh.
And so
I feel like there are songs about that.
Yeah, or like a sermon is about to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go much further down that road, but he reads the letter and reads the thing that Gandalf says about Aragorn. Um,
And
the
Aragorn doesn't know what's in the letter.
right. And so
Right.
when he introduces himself, he is able to say like these things that are in the letter
Mm-hmm.
that reveal that he really is the true Strider.
Right.
And the sword, the broken sword that he holds, which they don't have this part in the movie. Like he carries the broken sword with him as part of his life because that's Isildur's sword that cut off Sauron's
Oh,
finger.
Sauron's fingy. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when he like the Sauron stepped like broke the sword in the movie, like he steps on it, breaks the hilt, and
Yeah.
Isildur is just holding this broken sword, and he like his last chance like cuts the finger of Sauron off, which liberates the ring from Sauron and like destroys Sauron's power. Um, and so the line Aragorn is a descendant of Isildur. He's the
Mm-hmm.
rightful king in Gondor, and he's living in exile because of just the fall of the house of Isildur because of the corruption of the ring and all the different stuff. So you're being a jerk right now.
I am not.
Wow. And so the fact that he has the sword with him, I think, is so important because in the movie, when they get to Rivendell, Aragorn is sitting in that library reading a book in the dark,
Mm-hmm.
and
Bad for
Boromir
your
comes
eyes.
and he's like, "It's just a broken sword," right? And he's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Well, Boromir knows who Aragorn is.
Yeah.
Like he
Remind me
knows
though,
who the
like,
Dunedain are because he's the son of the steward of Gondor. He's next in line to sit on Aragorn's throne. And so he's
oh,
disrespectful because the Dunedain have abandoned the men of Gondor, to fight this war on their own. And so he has animosity towards all the Rangers,
mm,
but Aragorn,
in particular.
yeah, like you should be with us.
Wow.
So yeah, there's just so much drama in this world that like just watching the movies like, oh, this is really interesting. But like when you get into it, just like, oh wow, Aragorn's really important. And he's not
Wow.
the hero
Yeah.
of this story.
No.
Like he's the most important person in the world,
In the
but he's not.
world,
Well, I mean,
in this world, he's the most important person.
essentially, like he's the one that everybody's waiting for.
The return of the king.
Right?
Uh,
They're waiting for him, but
yeah.
he's not the hero.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
The hero
I
is
like that.
the small people.
I like that. Yeah.
So anyway, I
Hmm.
could go on about this. I won't though. Yeah. So I do think, having watched the movie, like this sequence, they did a lot of change in for this sequence in particular in the movie compared to the book. Like Mary and Pippin are there; they're the ones who are causing all the trouble.
Right.
But
All the
in the
ruckus.
book, Mary leaves. He's
Right.
gone, getting fresh air, and like that's all not a part of the thing. The Aragorn is or Strider is presented to be even more ominous in the book, like as he's sitting there smoking his pipe in the dark, and it's like I think that's brilliantly like
Right.
set up. Like who is that guy?
Yeah.
And trying to put yourself in the Hobbit's fuzzy feet, uh, it would
Gross.
just be like you would all there's like this a creep over there staring at you. Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Of course, I'm not going to trust him.
yeah. And then like the fact that Butterbur knows all this is happening in the book with Aragorn and all this stuff, like
Hmm.
the movie, Butterbur knows nothing other
Right.
than, well, he's Strider, and like in the next chapter when the wraiths come in, like the movie portrays Butterbur as hiding and like deathly afraid, and like we don't know what he's doing. Like anyway, There's just there's choices that are made that I think are good for the movie, but I really do like the way this is set up in the book. So anyway. Also the dark breath.
Yeah, that
like I love that. I love it.
Really gives you a good picture.
Yeah. Well, they're just their influence is so corrupting.
Right.
That like Mary just loses like consciousness in their presence.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
It's again like the Death Eater, or not Death Eaters. Shoot, I can't think of what they're called. Dementors.
Yeah. What was the worst part about prison, Mike?
The Dementors. That's what I had to think of in order to remember the name, though. It's like it was Prison Mike said something about them. Oh Lord.
I love that. I love that show so much. Yeah. So that I think it's good setup. And then the next week, the next 2 chapters, we have them escaping, but like it's just on the run. So they're
on the lam.
Yeah, it's so good.
Amazing.
Yeah. And that's wonderful. The end of book 1.
There's well, I mean, we have to get through 11 and 12. That is the end of book 1.
That's
9 and 10 are not. Yeah. But
we just finished 9 and 10. I'm saying next week is 11 and 12.
Next week is the end of. Okay. We're good. We're on the same page. We're okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Also,
job, Heather,
Jason,
summarizing those.
Thanks. While I was in Seattle, Jason dropped by a copy of the Silmarillion that I have not started reading yet.
That's all right.
I want to get through everything else before I crack that open. But thank you.
That is the recommendation.
My own copy.
I would never recommend to anybody just start reading the Silmarillion.
Because you'd be like, what the actual heck is happening?
Yeah.
Or
who cares about any of this?
Yeah.
So you need the anchor people in the loader to give you a reason to care about the bigger world. So
okay. I love it. I love it.
Well, listener, viewer, leave a comment, write to us, hobbitforming@gmail.com, subscribe, tell your friends, all that stuff. Leave a review on wherever you listen to podcasts, or just random websites that have review options. That's fine.
Yeah. Preferably like a restaurant would be really good.
Another podcast that I host with my friend Jeremy, we ask people to leave reviews on speedy signs. Just for fun. No one's done it that I can tell. They might have moderators that you're like, why are people talking about this Parks and Recreation podcast?
Yeah.
So
wow.
We'll see. It's all about guerrilla marketing. Yes. So I'm gonna go shoot a gorilla and tell people about it.
Oh, that's
what that means?
You shouldn't. Nope. Oh. Nope. Shouldn't say that. I've learned that there are things you should just keep inside your head and not say out loud. Nah, we're good. It's awesome.
All right. Well, Heather, good morning.
Jason, good morning.